How do I define my audience?
Very important question. And to be honest, a lot of people are pretty woolly in their definition of their target audience. They kind of say things like, oh, well, I'm trying to reach the general public, or, you know, men or elderly women or whatever, and it's quite vague. What you need to do, ideally, is have a real person you can picture. Who's the individual that you're building this site for? Preferably somebody you know. That's perfect. But you can't always do that. You don't always know somebody well enough. So an alternative is something called personas. And a persona is basically a made-up person, okay? So you try and give this person as much character as you can. First of all, give them a name. Jane Smith, right? How old is that person? Let's say she's 27 years old. Does she have kids? Let's give her 2 kids, one of 3, one of, you know, a baby, for example. Because things like that are important. For example, do they have kids running around when they're trying to use the internet? Has a huge effect. Is she married? Let's give her a husband called Bill. And then does she have a house? Does she own her own property? Or does she rent? And then most of all, find a picture. Find a picture, because that really helps bring somebody alive. And then all of that can help define what you're building, because you can go back to this persona and saying, is this right for this person? Personas are great, I love them. Of course, personas don't replace user testing, and that is really important.
So why should I do user testing?
Basically, because if you're involved in a project, you can't see the wood for the trees. Neither can your design agency. Also, user testing removes personal opinion from the equation. You're asking real users what they think of the site. It also gives you an opportunity to detect problems early in the process rather than too late to fix them. And also, if your site is usable, that increases customer loyalty. And as we know, that is vitally important for any website.
So how do I get on and do these tests?
Well, I think the big thing that puts people off is a perception that they're expensive. Usability testing can be cheap and cheerful. Just you and a user sitting in front of a computer. You don't need anything else to do it than that. What you do is you get them to complete key tasks. And you do this as little and as often through the project as possible. By little, I mean you don't need lots of people to test against, just a handful. But test as often as you can, because you'll pick up problems all the way through. So even test sketches and designs and wireframes and final prototype sites. Don't leave it to the end. By the end, you're committed and it's too late to make the changes. So I'd really encourage you to get user testing.